Hey there, Rob here. Day 25 already, huh? 30 days of meditation, 25 in, 20,000 more to go. Haha. Well, I'm here to represent a style of meditation that may not be very popular because it requires one to put forth a tremendous amount of effort. You think meditation is just sitting down and observing, and sure, if that's what you want to call meditation, feel free. But I come from a different perspective on the subject. One that perhaps you might call a little more hardcore, but only because that's what it requires, my friend. Thank you for joining us. It requires a tremendous amount of effort, and if you don't think so, you haven't really put forth the effort in order to have the experience, in order to see what kind of changes can come about. You know, we think we're just going to be handed everything on a silver platter, and that we don't have to work hard to get what we want in this life. A lot of us are entitled. And, I'm not saying that's you necessarily, but this is just the general concept, the general mindset of a lot of people. And it's a shame because, it's not going to get you where you want to have that sort of entitlement mentality. So I'm here to represent a different style of meditation, one that requires work. It's not easy to sit here and concentrate on one point. But let me ask you a question. Has anything that was worthwhile ever come easy? Don't run from this. Run toward it. It's going to come up eventually, one way, someday or another, that it requires a tremendous amount of effort and energy and intensity to change. You are who you are because of whatever factors today. And that mind state is not going anywhere anytime soon. Someone comes to me and says they want to change. They want to start the gym. They want to lose weight. I want to get a six-pack or whatever. And let's say they're a little bit overweight or whatever it might be. It's the same thing with meditation. It's going to take a process of time, effort, and consistency. Over time, the amount of effort you put in and how consistent that effort is will equal your results at the end of that time period. It's quite simple. And I just don't understand how people get the idea that, maybe sitting down for 5 or 10 minutes a day is going to do it. Is going to be enough to change. And what does it mean to change? I mean a permanent change. Or at least progress towards a permanent change. Every single day that we sit down and we put forth the effort, a little bit of a change occurs. And I like to equate this to the piggy bank theory, is that every day you deposit a penny or 2 pennies. And it may not seem like much, but over the weeks, months, years, you've got a little bit of money saved up, right? Well, it's no different with meditation. You might not see the progress happening, but it takes patience. It takes a certain amount of faith that the process that you're undergoing will yield results. If not today, eventually. But today makes all the difference because today is tomorrow. You see? If I put it off for tomorrow, it never comes. I have to do it today. Today is tomorrow. That's today's koan, isn't it? Because there is no tomorrow. There is no anything. There's only what we perceive. There's only what we bring to the table. And I want you to succeed. As a meditation coach, as a meditation teacher, sometimes you gotta tell it like it is. Sometimes you have to inspire people with the truth. And that truth is very simple. It takes effort. Oh, but Rob, I've heard that meditation doesn't require any effort. I just sit and be la 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 la. Oh yes. Well, that may be true. But in order to get to the la la la, it takes a quite amount of effort to get through the jungle of mind that we've accumulated over time. And the minute you sit down and try to observe all these thoughts, and then that thought grabs you, and then that thought grabs you, you know, it all depends on who you are, meaning who you've been. Who you are is only a collection of where and who and the memories of the things you've done and the places you've been, and, right? And so, have you been someone who works very hard all their lives? Meditation might come a little bit easier for you. Someone who's used their mind to focus, say in a job or a career like very technical, engineering, computer science, architecture, something that requires a lot of mental focus and concentration, may come into meditation and be a little bit more equipped to move into higher states of consciousness sooner. But if your mind has just been kind of like mush, if you haven't really put forth the effort in anything in life, and you know, for some of you that might be the case, then it's going to require the basic training. And just like you go into the military and you go through basic training before you can become equipped to fight the war. Well, it's a war with yourself. It's a war in your mind. It's you versus you, isn't it? Because you're the only one who's going to take you there. You can become inspired. We can motivate you. But you're the only one that's going to do the work. Heck, you can even get an empowerment from a teacher, from an advanced teacher. It might be fun for a little while, but then what do you end up with once that empowerment kind of wears off? Will you end up with who you are again? So, you know, I say all of this to tell you the truth. It requires a lot of effort to move into higher states of consciousness because the world has such a gravity. Our karmas have such a gravity. Our karmas are the tendencies of mind that create your current perception of the world. These karmas can be current life karmas, past life karmas, karmas of all sorts and sizes. Come now, get your karmas. you got to work on this, because otherwise you're just going to stay the same. You'll be bound by your karmas. Bondage simply means bound, attached, held back, stuck. Nobody wants to hear this stuff. They just want to hear the la la. La la is there. You can get to the la la. And why else would I sit here and talk to you like this? Because it's possible. Because I believe in you. I believe I can help anyone get to the la la land. And if you're just tuning in, make sure you watch from the beginning of this talk to know what I'm talking about. It just requires a certain amount of training, a certain amount of effort put forth. This is why I created the 5 steps to stillness, beginning with concentration exercises, because it's not just about observing the thoughts. Let's examine that philosophy for a moment, that approach to meditation. There's nothing wrong with it. Observation is ultimately, detached observation is ultimately part of meditation practice, or could be part of your meditation practice. But the problem is that if you're new to meditation and you're new to mental work, you sit down and you meditate, right? And you think you're gonna just observe thoughts. And what happens is you mostly just get caught up in the thoughts, thinking thoughts. There's no real radical transformation that's occurring to the mind, to the way that you perceive. There's no change. Because change requires hard work, requires effort, it requires a change. At first, your mind is in a certain mold. And in order to break out of that mold, your current mind mold, which is obviously not great, because if you're seeking something like meditation, you're seeking change. You're seeking to become happy again. So the current mind mold that you're in is just not working out for you. And I don't blame you. So in order to break out of it, we have to create another mold. We have to put it into another form for a moment in order to train it. It's like a posture. Right now, your mind is like a slumped over slouch, lazy. Not you, of course, watching this video, but the other ones, yeah. It has to become not lazy. You have to get your mind into shape, just like you get your body into shape. There's no difference. Your mind is another body. It's somebody. In order to get your mind into shape, you have to put it through work, calisthenics. You have to hold a posture that it's not used to holding, to break out of the current posture that it's in. This is yoga. If your mind is a body, it's a perceptual body, and current position is not quite doing it for you, you got to learn a new position. This is the knowledge of what to do. Then there's the application of that knowledge, the exercise, the training. Then comes the dedication, consistency, patience, and all the rest. But if you never get started, nothing's going to happen. Do you think you're just going to wake up one day and everything's going to be okay? I mean, really? Do you? I commend anyone for attempting this process of meditation. You've taken a step in the right direction toward transforming your life, toward stepping into something more real, and that deserves commendment, or whatever you call it. But that's just the first step. It takes a long time. Luckily, you got guys like me, I guess. to tell you that you need to get into shape. You need to put in effort. You need to do something about it. Stop sitting on your ass and just believing it's going to occur. Observing your breath. How's your breath going? It's a step. But for those of you interested in true transformation, it's going to require a few more steps. Heck, I've got 5. You know, I joke, I kid, but sometimes you got to tell people like it is. You know, you got to get a little serious sometimes. It's 25 days into the challenge and you didn't even start. Well, maybe next lifetime, right? Or the one after that. Tomorrow? Yeah, that's it. Tomorrow never comes. But right now, there is a power here in the moment that you have to capture. The training involves taking the mind from the mess and the scattered forms that it's in right now and bringing it into a sharp, honed point. And the beginning of this is concentration. So you have the 5 steps to stillness that I'm offering here in the group. From concentration to consciousness. Pretty catchy, right? The single-pointed mind meditation is no joke. It's the real deal. It's transformative. It'll change you. But you got to be ready to put in the work. So here we go. Thank you, my friends. Let's see what questions we have here today. Okay. Sajad, how you doing, Sajad? Asks, what's the best place you would recommend? I'm not really too sure what you're asking me there, buddy. And then he asks, is it necessary to sit without back support? Well, that depends. I think optimally, yes. It's good to have, to be free of any support, to sit up straight. I'm sitting in a chair, as you can see here. I like to sit towards the edge of the chair, kind of like on my butt bones, so I can try to remain with a good posture. I think this is very important, especially within this technique, because what's happening is energy is rising. As you focus on each chakra in an ascending manner, the Kundalini energy, once your channels open up after some time, or maybe right away, depending on your current state, physically, energetically, mentally. Some people have very open channels just naturally. It's their karma. Some people are very blocked up, and the central channel called the Shushumna is very closed off, and it takes some time to finally open up and to have the energy rise. So it's important to have good posture for that, to facilitate that rising energy to take place. Posture is frequency. I talk about this very often, that how you hold your physical body matters. There should be a good balance between tension and relaxation. Just enough tension to hold a good posture and to hold a good bone structure, but relaxing the musculature that doesn't need to be tensed, if that makes sense. So, but if you need back support in the beginning, it's okay to kind of sit back on the chair a little bit and try your meditation that way. As long as you're not leaning back with your head, it's an okay place to start. But I think working up to sitting with a good posture without any back support would be what I recommend, absolutely. Good question, Sajad. Thank you for asking. And Teresa Campbell says, do you ever meditate with music? Why, yes, Teresa, I do. I meditate in the evening to music. And if you ever watch my evening videos, which are published daily here in the group, you'll hear that I meditate to music most of the time. Now, I do two main types of meditations. The one that I'm demonstrating here today is done to silence, where I'm doing the single-pointed mind concentration on the chakras, what I call the 5 steps to stillness. And then in the evening, I'll do a meditation to music. And it's still a single-pointed mind meditation in that when I'm listening to the music, I'm totally focusing on the music, to where the music is the only thing that exists. Forgetting about the self and focusing on the music, listening deeply in order to stop thought. Now, what this does is you'll notice that your attention wants to bounce back to your body all the time. Well, you just bring it right back to the music, and this will take place, back and forth will kind of take place until you finally are resting and merged with the music. And this is an important training, because what happens is when you come out of that, from training, listening to the music, you're training to be in the moment. Just by listening deeply, you're following the music, you're absorbed in the music, so that when you come out of that meditation, you're in the moment. Meditation is all about merging. It's all about union. Ultimately, union with the deepest part of ourself, which is the divine. This is the true meaning of yoga. Union with the divine. So with that, my friends, I bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.